Your beliefs become words, words become actions, actions become habits, and habits determine where you go. This is the Motivation Factor Podcast. Hey friends, Michael Bain touching base with you, and you're on with another episode of the Motivation Factor Podcast. I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to listen in. And it's obviously because you're not only showing your love and your support, but you're looking to be better than before you had heard this podcast. So check this out. Today, we're going to talk about the power and process of mentorship. I've been wrapping my head around this, and I talk about this in my ebook coming out at the end of this month. And basically, there's 4 parts to the power and process of mentorship. And I'm going to go through each part, but I want to first set the stage. Number 1 is mentorship, mentor. So we define that. Number 2 is the tools of the mentor or mentorship. Number 3 is the process of mentorship. And then number 4, the results of mentorship. So I'm going to go through those 4 today for you. So if you're taking notes or you wanted to take notes, now's the time to break that out. Open your minds. Everyone can get something out of this, and I believe you are. Whether you're a mentor now to others or you're a mentee being mentored, these 4 parts are really going to help you. If not, learn something from this. It'll clarify, affirm, and reaffirm what you already know to be true. So either way, it's good stuff. So first, I want to talk about the example of a seed. So when you're planting a seed, think about gardening, right? Outside. There's really 3 things that happen. The death of the seed, the process of change that happens within the soil and the seed. And then the third part is that harvest, whether it's a fruit, a plant, whatever the case may be, the manifestation of the original intent or purpose of that seed, right? So in this case, the death, right, of the seed is the planting of the seed in the soil. For you, it's putting yourself in the growth and change process, right? So now part 2 is the process of changing, right? So within the environment of your thought process, your beliefs, it's where you grow. And then third is the end result, right? Going through that process, starting from the beginning and dying to your old ways, so to speak, and your thought process and your thinking, to then, starting at point A to get to point C, but having to go through that process of change, which in this case would be point B. So first things first, let's define a mentor. A mentor is an experienced or trusted advisor. Guys, I'm going to keep this extremely simple so I don't confuse myself, number 1, and so we can get right to the meat of the matter. Mentorship, the guidance provided by a mentor, especially an experienced one, right? So a couple of things regarding a mentor. Number 1, we talked about an experienced person in an area where you feel you're lacking and can get some experience and need some guidance, need some help in. Or maybe you're proficient in this specific area or areas, but you could be even better. You're not maximized. Maybe you're operating at an 8 or a 9 or a 7 even, and you want to get to that level 10 on a scale from 1 to 10. Maybe you're operating on a scale from 1 to 10, but you still know that there could be more. So now you're looking to go to 11, 12, 13, basically off the scale to be maximized, right? So this mentor, this person has already either accomplished, succeeded, or was able to overcome what you may need assistance with. Number 2, this person should know your area or areas of deficiency where they themselves are strong in, so that they can teach you what you don't know or strengthen you and help you to maximize what you do know, right? Third point I want to make on this. A mentor knows where you're exposed. This is huge. Maybe, and I'll get to that point later, but a mentor knows where you're exposed. Let me finish this thought with you. They know your blind spots. They know your areas of weakness. They can see where you could potentially get jammed up or trapped up. They come alongside you during this specific part of this process, this journey, to assist and ensure you are supported and don't quit on yourself, which is the process in this case, right? That's the first quadrant I want to talk about with being a mentor and mentorship. Now I want to talk about the tools of mentorship. Okay. What tools aren't, what a mentor is not. A mentor is not a book. A mentor is not a CD. It's not a course. It's not a class. It's not online content. It's not a blog. A mentor isn't that, because by definition, a mentor is a person. So I want to be able to distinguish those two, because I don't want, like, if I'm speaking to you and you're after it, right? You're going hard, full court press with purpose, with your mission, with your calling, or you're in the process of going after with everything you have to figure out what your purpose, what your mission, what your calling is. I don't want you to think that you're better off doing it alone, because you're not. I'm going to say that again. I don't want you to think that you're better off doing it alone, because you're not. You're not, because a mentor, and I'll get into this too, is also designed to save you time. So if you think you're better because you can figure it out on your own, and maybe you're that 1% that can, why would you not want to save time? Because time is that one precious commodity that you can't get back if it's wasted. But we'll get into more of that later. The other part I want to talk about, going back to tools of mentorship. The tools of mentorship, right, are designed to empower, to teach, to train, and ultimately equip you with what you need. So going back to books and writings, courses, classes, even podcasts and videos, one-on-one conversations. Those are the tools of mentorship. Here's another tool of mentorship: accessibility and time. Now, I want to break down specifically the point of accessibility and time. Okay, one of the greatest ways a mentor can help you is when you feel supported, right? So by them giving you access and accessibility to them and spending time with you, that can make one of the greatest impacts on your life, right? Sometimes we go through the process of change and you've already gone there in your mind. You know where you've started, because you first have to define where you are. Because in order to get to where you're going, you have to first know where you are, right? Once you have that, so I call it the process of going through. And I'm going to put a podcast out on that later. But so this is the process of going through something. It's going to come with its own trials, tribulations, setbacks, unforeseen obstacles. When you feel that you have someone or someone's with you in your corner and you're not alone, you're not going through this alone, it makes all the difference in the world sometimes. Sometimes that is the only thing that keeps you from quitting on yourself and finishing what you originally chose to start for your betterment, for the betterment of yourself and for others. So accessibility and time, that's a big one, and about support and feeling that you're not alone. Now, process of mentorship. I want you to listen to these next keywords I'm going to list off in a second. I'm going to round off these keywords and phrases. I want you to think about what they all have in common with each other. Agitation, discomfort, vulnerability, the challenging of current set of beliefs, trying, failing, adjusting. All of these words and phrases fall under the category I like to call the process of mentorship. It's what you go through when you choose to have someone come alongside you who's further along in an area or areas, an arena or arenas that they're dominating in currently, that you want to eventually dominate in yourself, right? So they help you to get real with yourself in the mirror, see where you're lacking, see your blind spots, and then help you to acknowledge, replace, and pivot. So remember the example of the seed. It's in this environment. It's in the environment that this process underway of becoming better that you're hopefully committed to, where it takes place. Now, the two phrases I mentioned a minute or so ago, the first is the challenging of current set of beliefs. The second is trying, failing, and adjusting. I want to break down those two specific phrases. So regarding the first, with the right mentor, they will, without a doubt, challenge what your current set of beliefs are and force you to rethink, reassess, and reframe what you think. Why? Tell you why. Because your outcome in life up until this point has been a result of action or inaction based upon what you believe. I'll say it again. Your outcome in life up until this point, your results have in part significantly are a result of the action or inaction based upon what you believe, what you've taken. So if you decide to partner with a mentor, part of their job is to get you to believe differently by getting you to think differently so you can therefore get a different result. You know, I've heard it said that the definition of insanity is what? Doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting different results. So if you don't like the results that you're getting, self-awareness here, we take a step back, analyze what we've been doing up until this point to get that result, get real with ourselves of what needs to be changed. A mentor comes along and assists you in that process. Now, the second point, trying, failing, and adjusting. You can totally attempt this part on your own. This whole process you can do on your own. You can try to get better. You can be met with temporary setback or failure and examine and analyze the data from that experience to try again, I guess. The reason you want a mentor in this case is for two specific reasons. And I alluded to one of them earlier, I think twice already. Number one, it ensures your focus, that your efforts, right? The focus of your efforts are on the right obstacle to overcome, the weakness you're working on, or the skill you're in process of mastering. Number two, saves you time. This is the one precious commodity, like I said earlier in life, that you cannot waste. Because if you waste it, you cannot get it back on your own. It is absolutely impossible. And for this reason alone, which actually ties to reason number one, which is to focus your efforts on the right obstacle and then the skill you're mastering, because all of that energy spent going at it on your own and maybe focusing on the wrong things ends up costing you time, right? So that's specifically those specific 2 points, but the biggest of those two, because they actually tie together. Now that we're talking, is really that saving of the time. And then last but not least, it's the results of mentorship. And here, this is where I want to spend the most amount of time right now. You ready? You get to where you're going. You accomplish what you originally set out to do. Period. Case closed, end of story. Oh, bonus. Confidence, belief, greater purpose also happens within the mentorship process. Why? Because during that mentorship process, you have to go through what's called the learning curve. And if you haven't heard that podcast, look back an episode or two where I break down the learning curve and those three key things that you find within the learning curve: confidence, belief, greater purpose, right? So in closing, seek out a mentor, be selective, follow this process and thought process, and we'll see you at the top, guys. All right. This is Michael Bain signing off. Motivation Factor Podcast. We'll see you on the next episode. Thanks. Your beliefs become words. Words become actions. Actions become habits. And habits determine where you go. This is the Motivation Factor Podcast.